All right, guys. Welcome back to the Let's Talk Ball pod. This is episode 54. I am your host, Tochi, aka Toch Talks Ball, and I am joined, as always, by my good friend and co-host, Spain. And we are excited to hop back into the Premier League. The first weekend of action just happened, and we are going to try and recap it all for you, go through our usual Premier League awards. We're going to talk about some of the biggest stories and kind of what has changed after watching this first weekend of the Premier League. And as always, we will go into some deeper dives for both Manchester United and Arsenal because I'm a United fan. He is an Arsenal fan. And so we are excited to chat footy with you guys. But before we hop into that, Spain, how are you doing?
Doing well. Had a really fun weekend going to a friend's wedding. So I didn't get to watch a ton of football from the weekend, but I watched Arsenal play, saw the second half of the United game, locked in for the 10 o'clock slate on Saturday, and then missed most of Sunday, but then listened to Chelsea and didn't get to watch that game, but had a great time at the wedding. Still kept up with all the scores in weekend one, and just really happy to have the perm back. How are you? How you doing?
I am good. A little tired. Had a crazy travel weekend as well. And it was wedding involved as well. But I think because of I was West Coast, I was able to get all the like game watching and stuff like that in the morning without being too interrupted with my plans. So I got to see a good amount of these games, not every single one, but yeah, definitely excited to cover all that.
Nice.
All right. For anyone that's new, please remember to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think. And yeah, we're excited to have you. So game week one awards. How this usually works is we'll gotta go through and try and recap the weekend by talking about things like who were our winners of the week, who are our losers of the week, what was the match of the week, goal of the week, any surprises, hot takes, all that. You'll get it. We're just gonna start from the top and go down. So without further ado, Spain, who is your winner of the week?
In summary, I'd say the teams that kept their manager from last season. That seemed as like a general trend, except for a few teams, your team. But if I had to pick one team, I would say Brighton beating Villa. Another team who kept the manager did perform Villa. But Brighton beating Villa 4-0. They looked really good. I think they scored the most goals from the weekend and looked fluid in attack, looked solid. Liked what I saw from them.
Fair enough. I can agree with that. I think what I think it is maybe not necessarily teams that had their managers, but I think the teams that had the most amount of continuity. Like as far as like squads not being shaken up too much and stuff like that. I think Brentford is another one where I thought they looked really good. They were my pick for winner of the week just because they put in a really strong performance against who was it? Tottenham. And I thought they just looked really good. They did good business this summer as well, but most of their team is the same, and they seem like you could just tell like how familiar they were with what they need to be doing and whatnot. It was like they didn't skip a beat. And like you said, I think Brighton is in a very similar place. Of course, they lost Carlos Baleba, which we'll talk about eventually as a United fan. But yeah, I can get behind that. All right. Loser of the week. I'll take the first one. I think an obvious one is United losing that opener to Hull City. Disappointing way to start the season for them, and just with expectations being high for them this season, to come out and start the season like that isn't a great sign, but more to come. What about you?
Yep, my loser of the week is, I got two of them, but Villa, as I mentioned, the team against Brighton, my winner of the week. They just looked pretty poor. They lost, conceded 4 goals, didn't score. I don't think they created too many chances, and they've lost some key players and haven't signed too many. Looks like they might be getting Goretzka, maybe to replace Tielemans and to replace Onana, who's out for this season and injured. But yeah, I thought Villa were pretty poor this weekend.
Yeah, I haven't down to talk about them in another section a little bit later, but I did just want to hit from a high level. I think, yeah, Spurs, first of all, tough loss to start the season like that as well. But Villa are so interesting because I like the business that they've done, but they have to replace so many key players and so much of that squad. And like, I think we saw exactly what the effect of that was. I think they were already going to start the season slow. They don't really have much depth in midfield to go around. And then I think what made them a loser of the week on top of that is that Joao Gomez, who's one of their midfield signings, so I actually thought was great business for them, ended up getting a straight red. So he's now banned for 3 games as well. So
That's tough.
I don't see their squad getting much better anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my second loser of the week was Spurs, losing 3-0. They also need to get a lot of players into the squad that they've signed. But yeah, losing 3-0, looking pretty poor against Brentford. Not a good start for them and for De Zerbi this season, even though he was there for the end of last season.
Yep. Yep. Getting back everything you just said there. Let's talk a match of the week. Did you have anything like a standout for this one? I think I put all 3 of these down.
Yeah, I think the Chelsea versus Fulham one, being back and forth, pretty open. Fulham seems like they're going to be pretty open and attacking. Chelsea's defense looks a little weak at times, and I think their midfield especially. But yeah, that Chelsea Fulham game just going back and forth. Anthony Robinson had a really good chance to make it even. I thought he should have scored that. If it was an attack, or they probably would have put that away. But yeah, that was a fun game.
Yeah, I agree. I think after at first I put down City, Bournemouth, and Liverpool, Newcastle, just because those ones were back and forth, which I'll come back to these in a second. But I think for me, it was definitely, as far as enjoyment factor, Chelsea Fulham on Monday night was a fun one. 3-2, lots of goals, lots of chances. It was open. It felt a bit like a basketball game at times. So I really enjoyed that one. It was fun seeing Cole Palmer back to his best as well.
Yeah, you could tell he's feeling himself, had a lot of space to dribble into, which is where he really thrives.
And then, yeah, talking about the other two, City Bournemouth was a good one just with like the late drama in that one. I kind of hated seeing it because I was hate watching everybody on Sunday. Both Liverpool and City, I was hate watching hard after United lost. I was like, I need some company over here. So unfortunately, both those games did not go how I would like. Liverpool Newcastle was a fun one as well. Liverpool luck boxed into that late penalty.
I was so annoying that they got that such late penalty. One for get the draw for Liverpool, and 2 Szoboszlai, highly owned, gets a late freeze pin.
Yeah, I agree completely. And moving on to moment of the week, I think actually the Szoboszlai pen was one of my moments of the week, just because of the late drama and whatnot. And I think it was a big moment that kind of saved Liverpool. I don't know what the correct term is, but like basically made their game look a lot less worse than it was. I think I thought I was very surprised to see Newcastle give them that much of a game.
Definitely. Later we'd talk about Newcastle again, but yeah, I was very surprised by that. They got very lucky to get a draw out of that game.
Yep. And then moment of the week, another one is Hull versus United, or I guess you could call that surprise of the week, whichever one you want. And I thought that was just like to start the Premier League season. I know Arsenal played on Friday, but this was like kind of everyone was watching the early Saturday kickoff. It was the only game on during that time. And I'm sure a lot of people got some enjoyment out of that one.
Yeah, since you're talking about moment of the week, I say we just combine it with surprise of the week because we have the same 2 games. But going back to Liverpool getting lucky, I was really surprised by Newcastle. New manager, didn't make hardly any signings, lost a lot of players, lost their club captain in Bruno Guimaraes, and played a lot of young players, and they look pretty solid, especially on the counter. Whistle looked a lot better. Elanga toasted. Turkis for the goal, finished well. Joe Willock had a really nice finish from a Wissa assist. Osula, they got some really fast players with Osula, Elanga, and Wissa up top. If they can get that right and those guys can finish for them, they could be really dangerous on the counter. And if they can stay solid in midfield, Miley is a great player, get their defense sorted, they could have a much better season than anticipated using players that they've had for a while who haven't really stepped up for them yet.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like I forget the manager's first name, but Jessel, I don't know how to say his last name. I thought I've heard really good things about him. Like when Newcastle signed him, I actually heard that people were like, oh, that's actually a good signing for Newcastle, or a good manager to bring in. And I see, or at least I see the beginnings of why people might have thought that, because I think he's got this team has a good spirit around it for the squad being kind of decimated this summer. And I'm sure a lot of them are pretty motivated hearing the way people are talking about Newcastle and how everyone's been talking about, oh, the project's done, this, and that. I think Wissa looked really, really motivated. I thought he looked like someone that I was playing with like a bit of a point to prove. So yeah, I think they could be a good team, and I was really surprised by that performance. I'm definitely gonna this is a bit of a spoiler alert before we get to our table talk, but I've got them moving a little bit higher up my table after week 1.
As they should.
Yep. And then let's move on to goal of the week. I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, my goal of the week is Angulo's free kick for Sunderland. I don't think Sunderland looked that great, but that was a really nice free kick he had, bar down from the left side of the box.
Yep. Yeah, not much else to say there other than I agree. I thought it was a nice nice hit. It was one of those ones where I was like, ooh, like it gave like a little audible noise when I saw that go in. So good goal.
Yeah, did you have one?
Then I did not, honestly. I watched some of the games. I feel like for me, maybe the goal of the week that most stuck out to me was the Alenga goal, just because of the way that he torched Kirkez on that full field sprint.
Yeah, he took off from his own 18, ran the entire length of the pitch, and Kirkez had a good like 2 yards just head start and just could not keep up at all.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Alenga's
goal
rapid.
to give up from Liverpool for them to turn it over like at Newcastle's own 18. Osula just pick it up, and then 2 players just drive at him and hit him on the counter.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's something to watch out for with Liverpool. I think they may go down a little bit, my estimations. Like, I think obviously their squad is still in like a transitionary period. Like, they still have probably a few more signings to bring in, and Barcola could really improve them and whatnot if they end up getting that over the line. But I do worry about Areola's style and how long it might take for them to figure that out, and if it's even going to be, even at its peak, if it's going to be too open of a style for the club that Liverpool are. So we'll see.
And if they have the right players, I just don't know about the squad makeup right now.
Yeah, definitely one to watch there. Anything else on goals of the week?
Nope.
All right, now let's chat player and performances of the week. I'll start. I think the big one for me is Mamadou Sangare at Brentford. I think he could end up looking like one of the signings of the season. I think he's the type of player that the Brentfords and Brightons of the world, they unearth. I think people did kind of know of him. I heard people shouting him as a potential midfielder that United should look into if we wanted a cheaper alternative to some of the midfielders that we were looking at. But again, really good business by Brentford, and watching him play and hit the ground running makes it look like amazing business. I think they signed him for right under 50 million, or maybe like around 40 million pounds, something like that, which is looking like it's going to be a great deal, because I'm convinced he's going to be one of those players where he's going to have one really good season for Brentford, and then all of a sudden people are going to talk about him as like a 90 to 100 million pound midfielder if he sticks on this trajectory. So he was really, really good against Spurs. He had 2 assists. He was everywhere. I rewatched his match highlights, and he just looked so comfy so early for a player that just came to the Premier League just a matter of weeks ago. So he was my player of the week.
Nice. Yeah, I think we shouted him in our last pod as one of the potential signings of the summer in the Prem. So glad that we had a good shout there and that he had a good start. I'll take the next one. I mean, you put this down, but I agree. Player performance of the week, Cole Palmer. We mentioned earlier how good he looked, but he looks healthy. He looks back to his best. Really involved, and looks like he could have a great season if he stays healthy. And like a really good FPL pick. And I mean, he had a good number of shots, a lot of dribbles, some good chances for assists. So he looked really strong.
Yeah. I was watching him closely because I made a video basically saying like, who are my 3 Premier League stocks to buy ahead of the season, and Cole Palmer is one of them. And the reasoning behind that was he came into last season off the back of the Club World Cup, but prior to the Club World Cup, they had a deep European run. So he basically was like already overworked, came into last season overworked, and then Chelsea were a bit of a dumpster fire. He couldn't stay healthy. Everything was kind of stacked against him, and he had a dip in form, but missing out on the World Cup was probably a blessing in disguise for him, because he got the whole summer to reset physically, mentally, come back right, and then he's also coming back into an environment with Xabi Alonso where it's going to be hopefully a lot more stable and with a better manager than he's probably worked under at this point in time. So I figured he was going to come back looking sharper and probably more confident. And then it looks like Xabi Alonso watching the game, he gave him a very free role. Like I feel like a lot of Chelsea's players are kind of like stuck positionally in certain places, but then him and Morgan Rogers are just allowed to kind of pop up wherever they need to get on the ball. And Cole Palmer definitely had that bit of, like he had fire in his belly. You can tell he's hungry. You can tell he's got a point to prove, and he was showing out yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've got one more, and the sirens I was hearing in the background coming from you made me think of this one. But Zolis, I think, from Arsenal was one of the player performances of the week. He was really on it, super involved, so direct, looks really fit. Looks like he's going to have a good chance at tearing up the league if he holds down that left wing spot, which I expect him to do.
Yeah.
Arsenal. Have you heard the song for him, which is why I thought about it?
I have not.
It goes, whoop, whoop, that's the sound of those police. As if it's like the sound of the police. It's so good.
That is really good.
I love it.
That reminds me of, I really enjoyed the song that the Brentford fans have for Sangare as well. It's like, oh, I want to dance with Sangare.
Oh, that's a good one. I haven't heard that one yet.
Yeah, that was really good. All right. We already talked about the surprises of the week. Unsung hero of the week. I'll let you take this one.
I'm going to give this to Julio Enciso for Ipswich. I thought he looked really good for them. That was one of the 10 o'clock games that I was able to really lock into and watch. He had a really nice assist for their first goal, picked it up with tons of space, dribbled right at Dan Ballard, and didn't really do too much, but just went at enough pace, did a little body feint and cooked him.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ballard had a pretty rough game, but then Enciso laid it off for basically a really easy tap in for, I can't remember who it was.
I don't know if it was Emerson or somebody else.
It was Emerson. I believe it's Emerson. But yeah, and then throughout the game, he just looked really good getting on the ball in that 10 roll. Looked pretty free. Granted, I don't think Sunderland played well, but I really liked what I saw from Enciso. Always thought he's been a good player, and he proved it in week 1.
Yeah, I can back all those things. I really like watching him play. He's got a crazy strike on him, but good all-around player. All right. Now we got some Fraud Watch. I'll combine Fraud Watch with I'll combine Fraud Watch with Hot Take here. I wrote these down, and my Chelsea bias might be showing, but I think as good as Chelsea looked in that opener, I think everyone was hyping them up. I thought they also looked very get-outable, and I have some question marks around their team. I think they are going to be a team that's going to hit some high highs, but I'm very interested to see how they are going to look, because I already think they look a little bit beatable. And if anyone in their backline gets hurt, I think they're even more vulnerable than they already look. And then on top of that, my hot take that's related to this is I think the Enzo Fernandez sale is a slightly weird move for both Chelsea and City. And I'll explain that by saying, from City's perspective, I know that they need a more experienced midfielder, and I know it makes sense to bring in a really high-quality midfielder. I just think at the quoted price, I'm seeing crazy numbers like 130 or 140 million pounds, which is just an insane price for Enzo Fernandez, who I think is a really good player, and I think he could play in most teams in the world. But is he really making that City team that much better than if they maybe just held on to Nico Gonzalez or something like that and ran with that? I don't know. Maybe I'm underrating Enzo Fernandez and how Enzo Maresca might use him. But I just thought that's a bit just for the price. I think it's weird. And then Chelsea, on the other hand, yes, they're going to get a bunch of money, but who are you going to bring in that's going to be at a similar level to Enzo Fernandez this late in the window? I'm not really sure if there's any obvious choices. I feel like it sounds like they're going to try and break the bank on someone like maybe Adam Scott, or not Adam Scott. Mitchell said that in the group message and threw me off. Alex Scott.
Yeah, it's not the actor from Severance.
Yeah, not the actor from Severance. Alex Scott, or maybe Adam Wharton. Maybe they go for that. But again, I just don't know if either of those players really raise the level of the team. And I'm already a bit concerned about their midfielder or their midfield depth with it's right now they had to start Lavia and Reece James in midfield yesterday. Caicedo has like a small knock, so I'm sure he'll be back. But Lavia, Reece James, Caicedo, and Jordan Henderson is their midfield four, I believe, unless I'm forgetting somebody. Lavia and Reece James can barely stay healthy. So are you really trusting Caicedo and
Already injured
Henderson? Yeah, to really hold down that midfield throughout the year. Like I know they don't have any European football to really worry about, so they can kind of get away with it. But I don't know. I just feel like it's an interesting move by both parties. But I know Enzo Fernandez also just really wants out from what it seems. So Chelsea probably can't really help that. And if they're going to get a bag, they're going to get a bag. So
yeah, I think those are good points. I mean, I haven't really thought about it too much. So I don't really have much of an opinion on whether like I want it to happen, whether it don't happen. Yeah, I feel like City probably need more of a true defensive center mid to kind of replace with like more of like a deep line player than like an Enzo, who I don't think really fits that well for them. And then yeah, it would be really difficult for Chelsea to find someone to replace Enzo this late.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe the vision is Elliot Anderson plays a little bit deeper. Enzo plays as more of like a box to box, more attacking player. And maybe that balance ends up working out. But yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see. Also, I think it's interesting in general that City are going to spend 350 million on a midfield rebuild this summer, which is just crazy. And they've already with the Buati signing because they signed Elliot Anderson for 116 million. They're about to sign Buati from Lille for 100 million euros. So something like, what is that, like 85, 90 million pounds, something like that. And then Enzo Fernandez for 130 million pounds minimum. Like that's a crazy amount of money to be spent. And after the Buati deal, that puts them up to like 700 million pounds spent since January 2025.
It's crazy.
That is a crazy amount of money. I mean, they're putting a lot of money into that City team, and they're good, but I'm not sure if, I don't know. They've got probably the second best squad of the league right behind Arsenal, so I guess I can't say too much, but it'll be interesting how that works out for them.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to predictions, like I have a hard, originally, I really wanted to pick City to not finish in the Champions League places after losing Pep and losing Rodri. I think it was last podcast we recorded, I said if they lose Roger, I think they won't get Champions League. But then you look at their squad and they have to spend so much money. So it's hard not to pick them just kind of off how much money they've spent on the squad in terms of the talent they have to not finish.
I agree.
Basically.
I agree.
I don't know what to think of them.
I agree. And I think it'd be easier to exclude them if everybody else didn't have question marks as well as the thing. So like, like if everyone else didn't have question marks, I might be more inclined, but it seems like the squad quality could be what carries a lot of these teams, essentially.
Especially because it's just too early for us to know how they're going to play because everyone's got a new manager and still trying to make signings as well, especially with like Liverpool.
Yep. Exactly. Well, that rounds up our awards, but I still want to keep on general Premier League for now. The next section I want to do is kind of like a table talk and talk about, here's what we think the table looks like or will look like right now. And then based on what we saw in the first week of games, who's moved up, who's moved down, and why. And then this is kind of just like live thoughts right now. It's not like final set in stone. We'll do our actual like final Premier League table predictions once the transfer window is closed and we have a better idea of what everyone's squads are going to look like. So I didn't think this through. I don't really know how to like explain what the table looks like right now. But I will maybe just start with like I want to justify maybe like my top 6 to 7 picks, and just kind of start with that. And then we can talk about who's moved up and who's moved down. But for me right now, I have in this table Arsenal winning the league just because I feel like they have the best squad, most stability, they look good. And then after that, spots 2 through 5, I think could finish in almost any order. And that order for me right now, I have it Chelsea 2, United 3rd, City 4th, Liverpool 5th. And then 6, 7, 8 also going to be interesting, but I've got Brentford 6th, Spurs 7th, and Aston Villa 8th. And then mid-table gets a little jumbled in there. We don't have to jump into that. But I guess let me get your thoughts on that first.
Yeah, I agree with a top 5, top 6 for sure. I'd probably have City over United. So City in third, United fourth, Liverpool fifth, just based off of what we've seen this past week. City got that win. United looked pretty poor, or quite poor against Hull. Looked very underprepared, but you would think that they have a little more continuity than City do. So maybe in the long run that'll play out. But yeah, I kind of have a hard time looking past Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea not having Europe is such a big advantage for them. Only one game a week until you get to some of the cup competitions when you don't even have to play your first team. But yeah, so I'd have it as Arsenal 1, Chelsea 2, City 3, United 4, Liverpool 5. I really think Liverpool could have a much better finish and much better season because I like some of the players they have in there, but right now they don't look ready, and I think they need a few more signings like right back and central mid.
Yeah.
And depth at center back too, probably. I guess they did make the Araujo signing from Barca's cover, but
yeah, I can understand the reason behind all those. I think it'll be really interesting. Like you said, I think it really just depends how all the signings, bed in, and I think Chelsea is very dependent on like if they can stay healthy, which they should be able to with less games and whatnot. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
I think Liverpool has the biggest variance. Like they could have a really good season, but they also could have a really poor season. I think they're the most likely team to for that case. Great or really bad.
Yeah, their error bars seem to be the biggest. And I do worry about even if they get Barcola, I don't know. Liverpool is a whole mess. I feel like I could do a whole podcast on Liverpool in general because I don't understand really what their strategy is with the forwards that they're going for. Because they're trying to bring in Barcola, who's a left wing, who I think is a great player, going to replace kind of the star power of Mo Salah. Hopefully, maybe not the same production level, but the big nameness of Mo Salah. But they already have Gakpo there, who I think is really well suited to what Areola wants to do. I know Gakpo's looking to leave, and I think it's because they've basically said we're going to replace you. But they already have Gakpo there, who I think could do a role there. And then they got Rio Ungamoa, who's I think one of the most talented youngsters in the league, but his natural position is left wing. But if you're buying a 22-year-old Barcola, you're kind of blocking his path when I think he needs to be playing pretty regularly. So I don't quite understand exactly what the vision is there. I'm sure you could play one of them on the opposite side and figure it out. But that's very interesting. And then Areola is a manager
I was real quick on that too. Ekitike, when he comes back healthy, he's not playing up top. You play him on the left. If you're playing Ekitike up top and you also want to play Isak can play on the left. And none of them can play on the right or are best on the right.
Yes.
So yeah, agreed.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot about even Ekitike coming back into the picture. So that's very interesting squad building decisions. And then I'm interested to see what kind of midfielder they end up going for if they get more depth. Have they signed someone that can play right back? I don't think Frimpong is very good.
No, he did not look good.
There's a lot of question marks. And then the other thing is that Areola plays a style that I think it takes teams Areola plays a style where I think it takes teams a while to understand exactly the system and how it's supposed to come together. And I think the way he plays, it can be a little bit risky in that regard. I think Bournemouth really struggled when he first joined. And I just don't know if he'll have that same amount of leeway at Liverpool before things get toxic and the media starts going after him and stuff like that, versus he had the time at Bournemouth because he could kind of fly under the radar and then have the team arrive. And I don't know if you can do that at Liverpool. And then on top of that, the physical demands of what he asks, Bournemouth were only playing once a week last season. But if you are doing that at a Liverpool team that's also in the Champions League and playing twice a week, can you keep up that level of fitness with a squad that already doesn't feel that fit? I could see a lot of things going back to what you said. I could see a lot of things going wrong. It'll look amazing when it's working, but I could also see things looking very wrong for them. So that's why I've got them as low as I do in the table.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All great points.
All right. So based on the games that we saw, I just want to talk about a couple teams that have moved up in my estimations and teams that have moved down based on what I was thinking before the weekend. Is there anyone that you wanted to call out for going up first?
You have Brentford in sixth. I think they looked really great. They're not playing in Europe. They know how to recruit well, like they did with Sangare, keeping their coach, and they looked great last season. I think they're only going to get better this season. So I really like that shout for them to finish sixth, especially
Yeah.
over some of the other teams who they'll be competing with,
Yeah.
who all
Yeah.
do
So
have Europe.
yeah, because I originally had them lower in my list, probably a little bit more solid mid-table. But after watching them and also looking at some of the other teams around them, I just think they look so well prepared. And if you look at their team, like Brentford is such a well-run club. Like the managers come in and got a great tune out of them. And then uh if you look at their club, like they've got very good fullbacks that seem like they can cross the ball into a good target man in Thiago. Their midfield looks like it's going to be really good with Sangare. I've always rated Damsgaard. I thought he's underrated. They just
Mm-hmm.
like have such like a Premier League meta team, like good at set pieces, big and physical. They can play in transition. They've got the big number 9. Like I don't see really any flaws in their team.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd expect them to have a good season. After what I saw this week, and I'm like, yeah, let's move them up to 6th.
Yeah. I might have Brighton a little higher than what you have them after what I saw this
Yeah,
weekend. They do have Europa League, but I think I like them maybe even better than Villa, and I certainly like them better than I think I like them better than Everton.
yeah,
But Everton having no Europe might be more of an advantage, might help them out to do better than Brighton.
yeah. I can agree with that. I had Brighton higher, like I had them as one of the teams that's moving up, but the only reason I took them off last minute was because of the European football.
Mm-hmm.
I'm unsure how they're going to be able to cope with that. And that's the only reason I didn't put them higher. But I was really impressed with what I saw from them.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that shout for sure.
Cool. Hey, what
And
you want
then
to talk about?
I've also got Everton on here. This one I'm not as confident about, but I feel like they've got a pretty exciting team. I think they just really got to sort out maybe their defense a bit more, but I think I like Hayden Hackney, the signing that they got. I think he's going to be a pretty decent player for them. Whenever James Garner comes back, he's a great midfielder. And I think I really like their attack. Maybe they need a striker. Tierno Barry, I'm a big fan of him, but maybe they need somebody else to really push him.
Mm-hmm.
But I like their options on the wing. I think Tyreek George looks like he could be a decent player. They still have Tyler Dibling, who didn't feature much last season, but I think will be a good player. Like they just have like a lot of potential around the team, and I think they could look good, and they look better than I expected in the first week. So I just moved them up just a little bit. Like I probably had them before this weekend closer to like the 12th, 13th, 14th range, just because I didn't think much of them, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm moving them more upper mid table, like
Yeah.
8th, 9th, 10th range.
Yeah, I mean Dewsbury Hall is really good. He had a solid goal, and Jai looked really good. That cross he had was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So if they keep him and he improves and has better output, yeah, they like their front three or like their support three after like behind their striker, I think could be really good and really exciting with George, Dewsbury Hall, and Jai.
Yep. Yep. All right. And then anyone else you got moving up based on what you saw? I guess Newcastle for me. I had them really low.
Definitely.
Yeah. I had them really low, but they impressed me, so they're now just solidly mid-table for me.
Leeds, like they didn't do anything crazy, but I think they're just gonna be super solid again. And I think they just got a really solid defense and they know what they're doing. Yeah. I mean 12th is probably right, but I think I'm confident in them. But yeah, I think we have is probably good for them, but they are just a super solid team. I think
I agree.
like to come up last year, stay up, and us to feel confident about them finishing 12th is really good for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're another like very solidly like just Premier League meta team, just a bunch
Hmm.
of athletes, people that can compete physically. They got a good striker up top that can score goals
Yeah,
for
and
them.
Stack is a beast, especially on free kicks and just in
Yeah,
general. He's a
yeah,
really good player.
yeah. And I really like what's his name, Marinovic, or like that
The new
new
center back they signed.
center back they signed. I think he's really good.
Really?
I've watched a little bit of him. I've seen some like highlights coming into the season, but also just like his first couple preseason matches and first match of the season. I'm like, I think he's a top player. I think he's another player that might get picked off of Leeds sooner
Mm.
rather than later.
Nice. I don't know like anything about him.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about teams that have moved down. Um, I wrote this one down, so I'll talk about them. We already hit on them a little bit earlier, so I won't go into too much depth. But I've got Villa. Um, I think just the way that their squad has been decimated, either through injury with losing Onana with that ACL tear at the World Cup, Tielemans being taken from them. Ollie Watkins looks like he's off to Saudi Arabia, so that's an important player. Morgan Rogers, probably their best player, obviously off to Chelsea. It's just, and then Konsa
Konza, yep.
it was a huge player for them in the back. So they just lost so many pillars of their team that I think that's obviously so hard to replace, but I think they did really good business. Like I love Monzambi coming to Villa.
Hmm.
I love like I think not that I think Garnacho will be a great player for them, but I think he could be okay. I think Emery could get a tune out of him if he figures out his off-field stuff going on. I think Joao Gomez was a great signing for them. I think he's a really quality Premier League midfielder that could actually, you know, add a little bit of bite to their midfield and just as like a quality player to fill in there. I'm trying to think who else they ended up bringing in. I think getting Digne out and bringing in Wan-Bissaka as a fullback is a good signing for them. Like I just feel like they did a lot of good business given the cards that they were dealt. But the issue is it's going to take a lot of time for those things to mesh, and
Hmm.
none of those players are really ready. Monzambi's still hurt. Wan-Bissaka, I don't think is ready to play yet, unless he played this weekend. I can't remember. There's just João Gomez, their midfielder, like I said, got that 3 match ban. So now their midfield's going to be super light to start the season. So I just could see them really struggling at the beginning of the season and that preventing how high their ceiling could be to come the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at their starting lineup for the weekend is not very good. I mean, you have Buendia up top with Ross Barkley behind,
Hmm.
and Hemmings, who I don't really know that much about, but he's 19-year-old starting on the left wing. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, that's not, they say really great signings, but this lineup right now is not good. So completely agree. That's going to be probably a rough
Yeah.
start for Villa before they get going.
Yeah. Other player I forgot to mention is Maggio, their young striker. I think he looks really good too, but I think he's hurt or something right now and like can't play. I don't know what's going on.
Hmm.
Um, But yeah, I think they're gonna struggle a bit. Even though I have a lot of faith in Unai Emery, I feel like Villa also always start the season slow
Yeah, last season.
and then end up being able to like figure it out in the middle of the season. So
Hmm.
something to watch out for, I guess. All right. And then just to finish out this section, are there any teams that you're going to be watching closely, like you haven't quite made your mind up on them, or you just want to see a little bit more from them before you really like, I guess, cement where they're going to be in the table?
Spurs is too early to tell because they have so many players still coming in and who aren't embedded into the team or aren't embedded into the team yet. I'm interested to see Bournemouth. I did not watch them over the weekend. So I want to see how they look as well.
I thought they looked pretty good. I thought they looked really good for what I don't know what I was expecting. I guess losing
Hmm.
Areola, I thought they would like struggle, but
Yeah,
Bournemouth, another smart club where I think they replaced Areola with Marco Rose, who seems to be a very similar style manager. They just looked like Bournemouth again.
I mean
Like
they have
just
basally the same exact team. Looking at the starting lineup from the weekend.
yeah, exactly. Like they like stylistically everything, it just felt like Bournemouth picked right back up from when they left off last season. Like I thought City were fortunate to end up winning that game.
Hmm. Yeah, and then I guess so feel good about Bournemouth then after you saying that, and then I'm really interested to see how Fulham look because with Arbeloa, it seems like they're really changing their style. They're signing a lot of young, more attacking players. Looks like they're going to probably be more open, especially with how they looked against Chelsea. So, interested to see how Fulham look.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout as well because I think they could have some exciting games, but if they look that open against most teams, I think they will end up getting punished. So
Definitely.
let's see if they can sort that out.
Mm-hmm.
For
What about you?
me, um, obviously, I mean, as a United fan, I'm just gonna be watching United very closely. But I'm watching them very closely in game week 2 specifically because I'm interested to see if Ipswich try and come out and copy the same formula that Hull City did. This is kind of a sneak peek to the next section, which is the United deep dive. But I think United really struggled specifically against Hull City's formation. They played a four back in every single match in the preseason leading up to it, and then all of a sudden they came out in this like back three, back five formation with wing backs, and AC Milan played us in preseason with that, and we really struggled against it. And then one of Michael Carrick's only losses last season was to Leeds, where they played a very similar system and basically exploited us with the wing backs again. And it seems like a common theme. Like the whole city manager came out after the game and basically said, "We watched them, we found that weakness, and we purposely did this." Um, so I'm interested to see if Ipswich try and follow suit because I think that formation is a really good way to kind of reduce the margins, is what people always say. Like it kind of reduces the margins when you're playing a team of better quality. So if they do that, I'm watching United very closely to see how Carrick tries to adapt because he's getting a lot of criticism for not being able to play against that system specifically as of this week.
Yeah, it will be interesting to watch. And just
But yeah,
more generally, you guys are playing at home, so see if you guys come out with more fight again. I mean,
yeah.
granted, it was away to a promoted team with the early kickoff,
Hmm.
but still definitely should have looked a lot more prepared. So I'm interested to see if you guys look more prepared, look like you have more fight and more energy
Yeah.
because that was definitely lacking on top of some of the
Yeah.
tactical things.
Now we're going to do some game week 2 Premier League predictions. So we're just going to do some quick fire predictions and keep track of this throughout the season. I actually forgot to check how last season, I think you ended up beating me by like, I don't know, a few points, 5, 6, something
Yeah, I
like
think I did beat you by a few.
that. But yeah, so we're starting it back up. Didn't do game week 1, but here are some game week 2 predictions. So starting from the top, we've got Palace versus City.
I've got City.
All right. Liverpool versus Forest.
I'll take Liverpool.
Okay. Coventry versus Hull City.
Coventry, just because they're home, and Hull is supposed to be bad. Like the
All
worst
right.
team coming in.
Fair enough. Bournemouth versus Everton.
I think this is a tough one. I like both teams. I'm going to go draw.
Okay. Spurs, Newcastle.
Take a Newcastle, just because I love to
Nice.
pick against Spurs, especially early.
Fair enough. Chelsea, Brighton.
Chelsea, even though I think both teams, even though I like Brighton a lot, go Chelsea, just at
Yeah.
home.
Okay. Leeds, Brentford.
I think this will be a really fun game and hard to pick, so I'm going to go draw.
Okay. Sunderland, Fulham.
I'll take another draw here.
All right. United, Ipswich.
United to turn it around at home.
Okay. And then Villa, Arsenal.
Arsenal.
All right. Fair enough. Easy as that.
Mm-hmm.
I am ready when you are.
All right. Palace versus City.
All right. I'm going to go City.
Liverpool, Fulham. Liverpool versus Forest.
I'm going to go Liverpool at home, not because I'm not convinced of them, though.
Mm-hmm. Coventry versus Hull.
I'm going draw just because I can't really decide, but I think Hull are going to be pretty confident after that win against us.
Mm-hmm. Then Bournemouth versus Everton.
I've got draw on that one just because I don't know.
Yep. Spurs versus Newcastle.
I've got Spurs only because they're at home. I could see Newcastle maybe struggling on the road.
Chelsea, Brighton.
I had draw at first, but I'm going to give the edge to Chelsea because they're at home.
Mm-hmm. Leeds versus Brentford.
Brentford.
United, Ipswich.
United.
And then Villa, Arsenal.
Arsenal. And then I think we missed Sunderland, Fulham, but I'm going to go.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to go draw for that one.
Okay.
Yep. So a lot of the same picks, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only ones we really differed was I picked Brentford, you picked draw. I picked Spurs, you picked Newcastle. And then I picked draw, you picked Coventry. So
Yep.
let's see. Anything FPL wise, real quick before we get out of here?
We both had a really good start to the season. I think we're 1-2. I might be in third now. We both had a really good start to the season and had a terrible start last year, so I'm feeling good about this so far.
Yeah, me too.
Most disappointed players were definitely the United picks, but
Hmm.
when you have two promoted teams to start the season, I can't really fault the decision making there. So going to hold
Yeah.
them again. Probably going to captain Bruno at home. Um, bench boost worked out pretty well because I had Ayer and Rodon who both got clean sheets. So I'm really happy
Hmm.
with the Ayer pick and the Rodon pick. Just two solid 4.5
Yeah.
defenders, and who I think are just gonna who I don't need to worry about transferring out anytime soon. Both teams look good. Both the defense is looking good. The only kind of thing I wish I wish I would have had Odegaard because I was considering him, but
Yeah.
NGI returned. Gross was a part of a 4-0 win, so he didn't return, but I think it was still a fine pick. So
Yeah.
Trey Hume, I was feeling really good about playing for Sunderland just because he's a 4 or 5 defender who plays right wing for them. So I'm
Hmm.
interested to see what he does. And then I'll be
Yeah.
monitoring my United guys. But good start so far on 71 points. And looks like I'm fourth in our friends league, but I'll take that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Nice. Similar boat to you. I bench boost one. Ended up having a really good week.
Yeah, top of the
Ended
league.
on 83 points. Top of the league. I would say, like you said, disappointing picks for the United guys. I was hoping to get at least something. I was convinced I was going to get a return out of it in Bumo. Maybe not so much Bruno. I wasn't feeling that confident in Bruno or Maguire, but I'm glad Holland didn't punish me with the captain decision.
Mm-hmm.
That's just because I wasn't feeling very confident about City or Holland based on what I saw. Trying to think. I think
Sangare.
Sangare. Yeah, Sangare was the big difference maker for me off the bench. 14 points in the bench boost. Huge. I have Ayer as well. And instead of Rodon, I've got Maharamovic or whatever. They're
Mm-hmm.
the new signing at Leeds. So I'm interested to see what's going to end up, like who's going to end up getting the edge there. Because I know that was a pretty big debate in the FPL community whether the point 0.5 extra was worth it
Mm-hmm.
for him over Rodon. And then who else? What I got here? Yeah, other than that, pretty similar team to you, to be honest.
Both got
Don't really have,
NGI.
yeah, both got Njai, both have João Pedro, both have Calvert-Lewin, Kinski, Verbruggen in net. So pretty similar team structure, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, next week I'm going to still captain Bruno at home to a promoted side. I'm hoping Mbumo will play better. I actually think Mbumo was unlucky not to return.
Yeah.
Watching that United game, I actually think he had some really good chances. He had a really, really good one off a through ball from Cunha.
Yeah, he should have done better.
That he should have done better. He had a bicycle kick attempt that was going in if it didn't hit off of a defender's head. And then he had another decent chance in the first half that required a really good save from the whole keeper. So
Mm-hmm.
I think despite the blank, Mbumo is still a good pick just based on fixtures, his role in the team, everything like that.
Yep.
Yeah, other than that, happy with the team, and I'm glad that I started well as well because last season I definitely I don't think I started that great. I think I had a rough first few weeks and felt like I was kind of clawing my way back for the whole first half of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think both of us were in that boat. So yeah, good to be on the other side of it this year.
Yep, hopefully we can keep that momentum going. Knock on wood.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else FPL wise?
No, I'm just kind of annoyed about the so I was like getting that cheese pen goal in the 95th minute. That's just really annoying. But yeah, no, I'm happy with my picks and looking forward to seeing how this weekend goes.
Yeah.
It's still so early, so much can change. So
Yeah.
it's just fun to have it all back.
Yeah, and if you guys are watching this and hoping to mimic me with the Sangare move, don't make the mistake that a lot of people are making in transferring in the wrong Sangare. Do not transfer in Nottingham Forest Sangare.
Have people been doing
not
that?
the same guy. Yeah,
That's so
apparently
funny.
a lot of people have been doing that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. All right. That's it on FPL, and that is it on the pod. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in once again. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you liked and didn't like. We're really looking forward to talking about more of the season, getting a little bit more data points to really inform our predictions. I'm looking forward to doing the official table predictions once the transfer window is closed. But yeah, that's about all I got for you.
Cool.
Anything for you?
Nope, that's all. Thanks for listening, tuning in. Enjoy the games this weekend.
Sounds good.